Hi everyone, welcome to our lesson on brand elements. Remember, if throughout the lesson there are any concepts you grapple with, or should you have any questions regarding the content, please remember to make note of these so that we can address them in our online class session. The content we will cover in today's lesson is constructed from your marketing knowledge, your LISAF MRT03 subject guide, additional secondary research, online videos, as well as published marketing texts. Let's have a quick look at our learning outcomes for this week's lesson. So by the end of this lesson, you should be able to identify the different types of brand elements, list the general criteria for choosing brand elements, describe key tactics in choosing different brand elements, explain the rationale for mixing and matching brand elements, and then highlight some of the legal issues surrounding brand elements. Now, before we start with today's lesson, let's have a quick look at our course overview map. So in today's lesson, we are focusing on the second expansion of branding, which is brand elements. Let's take a closer look at the different types of brand elements. Now, the different types of brand elements include brand name, logo, characters, packaging, slogans, as well as jingles. Now, all of these elements are quite familiar to us, but let's have a quick recap. So the brand name will be what we identify the brand as and what we call it. For example, Nike or McDonald's or L'Oreal. The logo is the visual representation we use to recognize the brand. For example, the Nike tick. Then the characters are typically little fictional characters that can bring a brand to life. For example, Frosty the Tiger, associated with the Kellogg's cereal range. Then we have packaging, and packaging are what we see the brand's products come in. So this is how or in what we receive the product. For example, the packaging we have here from Tasha's. Then slogans are catchy short lines that we associate with a brand. For example, the McDonald's slogan, "I'm loving it," or the Nike slogan, "Just do it." And then jingles are short bursts of music associated with a brand. For example, the McDonald's jingle, "Ba-ra-ba-ba, I'm loving it." So let's take it a step further and look at the different criteria for brand elements. So each one of the brand elements need to adhere to this criteria for it to be effective. So first of all, it needs to be memorable, meaning it must be easy for our customers and the public to remember our brand elements. Then it must be meaningful, meaning our customers or the public must be able to assign some kind of meaning to our brand elements and to our brand as a whole. Then it must be likable, meaning our customers or the public must be able to make a positive association with our brand elements. Then it must be transferable, which means our customers must be able to transfer their understanding of our brand to other types of products within these brand elements. So if we, for example, take our Nike tick and we put it on a different product, then the customers must be able to transfer their understanding of the Nike brand to this different type of product. Then adaptability, meaning we are able to adapt our brand elements to current times and changing environment. And then protectability, meaning we are able to protect our brand elements. Let's use these 6 criteria for developing brand elements effectively and apply it to a specific example. So the brand we are going to look at is the Nike Nike brand because we are all quite familiar with this particular brand. So the first criteria we are going to look at is memorability. Now this entails that the brand should have attention-grabbing brand elements which will facilitate recognition and recall, meaning the brand elements are creating a lasting memory in the customer's mind. Now, we are evaluating this using Nike as our example. So when we look at the logo and read the slogan of the Nike brand, how memorable do you think have these Nike brand elements been? Well, I think it's quite safe to say that almost all consumers, irrespective of age or income bracket arguably, are able to recognize the Nike logo, which is the tick, or the slogan, just do it. And based on this, we can say that the Nike brand elements are very memorable and are effective in that they facilitate recognition and recall. For example, by just hearing the slogan, just do it, it is very easy for us as consumers to recall or recognize the slogan as belonging to the Nike brand. Let's have a look at meaningfulness. So the meaning behind the different brand elements can either be descriptive, which can be quite general in nature or in terms of meaning, or it can be persuasive and very specific. Now, a brand's brand elements must be meaningful to increase or facilitate brand awareness. Brands must also create meaning behind the benefits of choosing one brand over another, which is important for brand image as well as positioning. So how meaningful do you think the Nike brand elements have been? So some customers may say that they perceive the Nike brand to be positive and effective in encouraging people to move and to get exercising, especially with their slogan, just do it. And so Nike is positioned in the mind of some consumers as this aspirational and energetic kind of brand. And this can be the meaning customers assign to the Nike slogan or logo. So the Nike slogan or logo gets associated with a deeper meaning of achievement or determination. Now, this meaning also don't just happen out of the blue. It is something that gets created with a lot of marketing activities, such as adverts on TV, in the magazine, on social media pages, etc. The next criteria we will look at is likability, and this is based on the aesthetic appeal of a brand element, which is visually oriented. This also impacts on the brand image and association, and also builds awareness of the brand's values and personality. So let's have a look at the likability of the Nike tick completely on its own. Now, the Nike tick, which is their logo, would be the visual that the customer would associate with the Nike brand. And this logo has absolutely stood the test of time. And it is modern or likable today in 2020, just as much as it was modern and likable in the 90s. And this says a lot about the aesthetic appeal of their visual logo. If we look at transferability, now this refers to if the brand's brand elements could be used for a line or category extension, or if they could translate across different geographic boundaries and cater to the needs and wants of new market segments. So if we look at the Nike brand, they have a lot of different lines and category extensions across the brand. For example, they have soccer shoes, they have golf gear, they have tennis apparel and kits, they have street style wear, and a lot of other different lines and product categories. And their logo is represented on all of these different types of product lines and categories. That is, their logo is not customized for the different products, and it is easy for them to transfer their logo across their different product lines and category extensions. Now, the same thing goes across different geographic boundaries. Nike is an international brand, and the Nike logo, so the tech, for example, is recognized globally. The Nike slogan have also been translated into many different languages. So the tech logo also makes it easy for Nike to enter new market segments because they are able to transfer the knowledge associated with their logo and ultimately with their brand to the new products of which they want to enter this new market segment. For example, when they entered the market for children's wear, it was easy for them to just transfer the logo onto these products and enter the children's wear market. Let's have a look at protectability. Now, this refers to the legal protection of a slogan or a logo or any other type of brand element. And this legal protection is what protects the brand against other companies from using the same logo or the same slogan for their products and making money out of the brand's intellectual property. Now, how protectable do you think have the Nike brand elements been? Now, we all know that Nike's slogan and logo are highly protected, and we cannot just imitate or use their slogan or logo on our own products without consequences. The last criteria we need to look at is adaptability, and here we need to ask ourselves, can the brand elements accommodate updates based on trends or consumer changes? And can the elements stay relevant specifically in the fashion industry, which is an ever-changing industry? Now, how adaptable do you think have the Nike slogan and logo, for example, been? My viewpoint is that they have been very adaptable in that they didn't require updates or maybe just little tweaking in order to stay relevant or on trend and up to date with consumer changes. So in my opinion, the fact that their slogan and logo are so iconic, simple and classic makes them very effective for many different environments and many different situations. Now that we know more about the different brand elements and also how to evaluate them for effectiveness, let's have a look at brand element decisions. Let's have a look at how we would mix and match brand elements to build brand equity. So firstly, why do we strategically choose brand elements? The first reason is to build brand equity. The second is to create brand identity. The third reason is to create brand awareness. And then lastly, to create brand image. Now, these are the reasons why we strategically choose brand elements and strategically choose how we mix and match them together. Now, the cohesiveness then of the brand identity depends on the extent to which all brand elements are consistent. What we mean by this is, as we strategically choose our brand elements, which then contributes to equity, identity, awareness, and image, we also need them to work holistically together and be cohesive or look like one unit. This means that all the elements of the brand must work together to create one consistent message to the consumer or to the public. So how do we choose brand elements? Let's have a closer look. So firstly, in terms of the brand name, there are two key considerations: brand awareness and brand associations. So when we are choosing a brand name for brand awareness, we want to keep the name simple, easy to say, easy to remember, and unique, helping us to stand out from our competitors. Then secondly, for brand association, we want to be able to reinforce the right explicit as well as implicit meanings, which are the obvious and the not so obvious meanings behind the brand name, which then contribute to the positioning of the brand. So the brand name must contribute to the positive perception of the brand. Then, if we look at the brand logo, which is the visual element which the customer must remember, we need to ask ourselves, why is logo design such an important consideration? So here we have little snippets of some famous logos, and you can think for yourself, which of these logos do you recognize? Now, logo design is very important from a memory perspective. In other words, can it be recognized and can it be used to recall the brand by just looking at the logo? We also need to make strategic decisions when designing our logo, as this visual is what will represent our brand. Then, if we look at the brand slogan, we also have two key considerations: length and power or impact. For the length, we want to keep slogans short so that customers can easily memorize them and through this build brand equity. And then the power and impact. We want the slogan to be powerful and impactful to foster brand awareness and to reinforce the brand positioning. So if we look at the Nike slogan, for example, it is definitely short and it has definitely become a shorthand towards building the value of the brand. And it has definitely made an impact because anyone can say just do it and our immediate association will be Nike. Here we also have an example of the L'Oreal slogan, because you are worth it, which is another very famous slogan. Then what you can do is to just jot down some thoughts and think of two fashion related examples of slogans that you think the brands considered length and impact successfully, meaning they took these two considerations into account in the development of their slogan. Now let's look at brand characters. Now, brand characters are specific or special types of brand symbols that take on human, animated or real-life characteristics. Now, the purpose or the why a brand will have a character is so that the brand can connect with a target audience and also to embody brand essence, promise and values. So this particular character takes on the characteristics of the brand and it embodies the brand and becomes a symbol for the brand. And when people think of this particular character, they should think favorably about the brand. So what you can do just for a bit of fun is to Google what happened to the use of the Ronald McDonald character. Where has he gone? Why has he disappeared? Why was this an important decision for the McDonald's brand? Basically just for you to see how times have changed for the McDonald's brand in particular. If we look at choices in brand packaging, now we know that packaging is the outer representation of a product. And this packaging becomes a symbol of the brand or becomes a way for us to recognize the brand. So if we look at some of the examples on the screen, even just the outline of a Coke bottle can help us to recognize the product and also the brand. The same thing goes for any other product or brand that has got a specific packaging design that becomes iconic and easily recognizable. Now, there are also other fundamental reasons as to why we have packaging, including to facilitate transport, so to protect the goods within the package, to store the goods bought at home, so for home storage purposes, to communicate a message of quality and value. For example, perfumes are famous for coming in very elaborate brand packaging designs that are exciting to open, and often you can make the packaging a little collector's item. And on the packaging you will find descriptive and persuasive information that then convinces you of the quality or the value of the product. And then lastly, also to aid product consumption. For example, the fruit juice in the box with the straw to make it easier for the consumer to consume the product. Let's have a look at the legal issues associated with brand elements. So here we are talking about the broad concept of intellectual property and the legal issues around brand elements. Now this leads us to what we call patents, trademarks and copyrights. And these concepts get often confused with one another. So let's have a closer look at what the basic differences are. Now, trademarks can protect logos, words and phrases that are related to a brand or a business. And this trademark protects the brand from other companies distributing the logo, words or phrases. For example, the McDonald's slogan, "I'm loving it," is protected by a trademark. Then copyrights. This protects individual works of authorship, meaning that the owner who has written or authored something has the exclusive right to sell, license or distribute the material. Typically this is used for music, art, photos and books. And this is also relevant for fashion because there might be some kind of artwork or design, photography or books that has been or are copyrighted. And then lastly we have what we call patents, and these protect inventions, products or processes, which means it prevents other companies from manufacturing or selling your inventions. This then also brings us to the end of this week's lesson. Remember to access and complete your activities to show your attendance for this week's lesson. Thanks guys, bye.